welcome to the channel. I'm back to break down this 5-game NBA DFS slate on DraftKings in FanDuel. Excited to get into the breakdown. Not exactly the largest slate in the world, but still some big prizes to be won across the industry. So I'm going to get into it and give you guys the top place to get you in that green and winning you some money. As always, if you do enjoy the content at any point in this video, if you could please take a moment to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any future content that I upload. That would be greatly appreciated. And if you are getting very serious about NBA DFS, I do offer an NBA DFS premium package. That's linked below in the description to get access to all of my projections, multiplier algorithms, etc., and key stats, things like the offense half-court putback sheet, half-court putback on defense, transition stats, shooting frequency, shooting accuracy, all that fun stuff to help you make better NBA DFS lineups. And I do also offer an all-sports package and an NFL package if you're interested in either of those. Lastly, this video is sponsored by PrizePicks. Head over there and use promo code KJK DFS to receive a to receive a 100% deposit match up to $100 when you deposit up to $100 today. And don't forget to stay tuned to the end of the video for my lock of the night. If you're new here, fan favorite segment, I'm going to give you my lock of the night. Let's get into this slate. As always, we're going to go game by game here. First game on the slate, we have Philly taking on the New York Knicks. Ben Simmons continues to be out. Joel Embiid is listed as questionable in this one. So obviously, that's pretty relevant news. Andre Drummond will get a big bump if he's out, and Charles Bassey would also be in line for more work. So keep an eye on that news for sure. Andre Drummond also listed as questionable in this one, though. So if he's out, then it could be Bassey all the way, and he'd get a massive increase here in usage and in his current price tag. He's priced all the way down to $3K on DraftKings, so definitely be taking note of this, guys. And then, of course, the rotations would get mixed up quite a bit here. Noel also questionable on the New York Knicks side. Mitchell Robinson, expected to be his backup, so expect him to return sooner rather than later, but keep an eye on that news as well. And that's all I think that will be impacting these rotations. For this game tonight. Looking at both sides here and how far how they grade out in the new season with these new rotations and everything, minute-wise and rotations-wise. On the Philadelphia 76ers side, I think it's pretty clear-cut as to where the rotation is going. On the Knicks side, it can be a little bit more spread thin. And as far as this game overall in a total pace aspect, this game comes with a 218.5 over-under with a 1-point spread in favor of the New York Knicks. So not exactly expected to be the fastest-paced game in the world. So what does that mean? Well, we're going to need to play the guys that can really capitalize on the possessions that they have. And that's going to start with Julius Randle at 9.5. This guy's an absolute fantasy point per minute beast. Last time out, putting up 68 DraftKings points. He just continues to get the job done here over and over again. He's a double-double machine. He had 62.5 on opening night, 48.5 his second game, and 68. So tremendous start for Julius Randle. Always going to have interest in him. And yeah, I mean, it's really that simple. The guy's an absolute beast. It's hard to ignore, and you're going to have to definitely be trying to get him in your lineups. Now, Tobias Harris, I'm going to like him even more if Embiid's out in this one, of course. He's going to get a usage bump up, and honestly, he priced at 8K. I'm not really going to like him too much if Embiid's in. So keep an eye on that news. If Embiid's out, I'll like Tobias Harris a lot more in this one on that side of things. On the Knicks side, too, you have to kind of pick here because things get pretty spread out. So you have RJ Barrett, Derrick Rose, and Evan Fournier. I don't think you can play even really two of these guys in the same lineup, honestly. If you're playing Julius Randle, I think you're going to have to pick which one of these guys has a big game, and it's kind of going to be rotating him, is my opinion on this rotation here. The usage is pretty even. It's pretty evenly dispersed. It's not exactly one guy standing out from the rest, so you're kind of picking here and there on which guy fits into your lineup. If there's like a last guy in your lineup and he fits, it makes sense. Tyrese Maxey and Seth Curry are both going to be great plays, in my opinion, at their particular price tags in this matchup. I think they're just too cheap here, especially for their usage and their overall ability to produce. I will say my favorite option on the Knicks side out of that group that we just talked about would be RJ Barrett, based on my projections. Well, actually, second favorite option, Kemba with the on-ball handling duty. So sorry, I misspoke there. It's going to go Kemba and then RJ Barrett. So just to clarify on that, Tyrese Maxey, Seth Curry, I think are both great plays as well. Both guys in new roles this year where they really need to step up and produce. Seth Curry been shooting the lights out last time out, 41.75 DraftKings points, the time before 36 DraftKings points. Can shoot the three very well. When you get that 3-point bonus on DraftKings, I think he is well worth it. So those are the guys I'll be looking to in that game. Golden State Warriors taking on the Oklahoma City Thunder. This game right now comes in with a 223.5 over-under with a 9-point spread in favor of the Golden State Warriors. Golden State expected to win this game fairly easily here, which of course can be a little bit concerning for the blowout narrative If this game does turn into a blowout, we're not going to get the maximum upside from both guys or both parties as far as the guys we're targeting. For that reason, it's a little difficult. Steph Curry's priced all the way up to 11,000 now, and don't get me wrong, he's earned the right to be priced up that much, but that means he really has to have a big game here. He doesn't exactly get the easiest matchup taking on Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who's a very good on-ball defender. And then when you factor in that this game is not exactly expected to play at the top pace, and the Warriors are expected to win fairly easily, might not exactly set up for the best Stephen Curry spot. I'd be interested to see his, how many people are really on him, but I'm not really sure that I'd want to really go on Steph Curry. I think I'd want to really load up on the Oklahoma City side and which guys are really dominant in the usage. So that's going to be Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. It's all going to start with him. Really on-ball, heavy, dominant guard, and then the other starters that are getting a lot of minutes. This team is really ugly on paper. Lou Dort, Josh Giddey, going to be interesting options. They're both seeing their price tags rise a little bit from their new roles finally, though. Giddey was really cheap early on in the season at only 3.8, 4.1, 4.7. Went out there and put up a big game, dropped 47 DraftKings points. Now they're going to price up to 5.8. Now, don't get me wrong. Is he still a viable play? Yes, but it's not nearly as easy to be locking him in. And I almost feel like Lou Dort becomes a little bit of a better play at only 4.7 here in this one. So, the minutes are dispersed pretty easily in this one. And honestly, the game environment not the greatest. Jordan Poole, Andrew Wiggins, both guys that can really get the ball going on the Golden State Warriors side. You also have Draymond Green, who also always has triple-double upside. I just really like to target him in more up-tempo games. So on the Warriors side, I'd be looking to the guys at a discount, I think. The Andrew Wiggins, the Jordan Poole, maybe Jordan Poole being my top option with the way he can produce on a permanent basis. I'd be going to him in this kind of not-so-good game environment. Houston taking on Dallas. This game right now comes in with a 222 over-under. Another game that's expected to be somewhat of a blowout here with an 11-point spread in favor of the Dallas Mavericks. They're expected to take care of business pretty easily here against Houston. So once again, we have a situation where we have to decide if it's going to be a blowout or not, because if it is a blowout, that can definitely impact the upside of these guys. Luka Doncic priced all the way up to 10.9, a guy that's an absolute fantasy point per minute beast, averaging 1.57 DK points per minute is Luka Doncic. But the problem is, once again, possibility of blowouts, a little bit concerning here, and it's just a matter of if you really want to go there. John Wall still out, so that's going to mean Christian Wood, Kevin Porter Jr. really going to be dominant in the usage category, and if this game is going to stay close, it's going to have to be through them. I really like Christian Wood in this spot. I think he can get the job done, and he's just an absolute fantasy point per minute beast, so I love playing him anytime. Kristaps Porzingis, not exactly the best defender, honestly. I mean, he can block shots, he's tall, but as far as him getting out in the arc and really being able to lock down Christian Wood can shoot the three as well. I'm not too concerned. And then Kevin Porter Jr. Those are the two guys. If this game's going to stay close, these two guys are going to have big games. So that's the other thing. When you're playing these games that are expected to blow out, it's pretty obvious. Like, if you want the game to stay close, which guys are going to have to go off here. Don't get me wrong, there can be outliers, but those are the main two dominant guys in the usage categories on this side. So, yeah, they're going to have big games to keep this game close. Jalen Green at the shooting guard position also could be an interesting option at 6'1". He's seen his price tag go way up. A lot of these rookies we were able to just lock in very easily early on in the season. After that 48-point performance last time, he's seen his price tag increase to 6'1". So these guys starting to be a little bit more difficult to get into your lineups here. And for that reason, it's becoming not as exciting from a projection aspect and an upside aspect. I do think that Eric Gordon's an interesting option in this game at 4'9". Another guy that could maybe need to have a big game to keep this game close, and a guy that's a shooter, so 3-point shot, they're going to need it to fall, and they're going to need some points scored in this game to keep it close. So Eric Gordon could be that guy off the bench at only 4'9" that could really go off for you in the spot, so I do like him. And that's really where I'd be looking to for the most part. On the Dallas side, Reggie Bullock at 3'7" could be an interesting option on DraftKings. Sterling Brown at 3'4" could be an interesting option off the bench. Both guys that can shoot the three ball, and if this game blows out, they should be able to get some garbage run as well. So I think that they're both intriguing plays in tournaments where maybe this game blows out, they get more minutes than they have been getting, and they can really go off for you in your fantasy lineups. So I think that's an interesting play there. LA Lakers taking on the San Antonio Spurs. LeBron James is listed as questionable in this one, except he is probable. Maybe we have another situation last year. LeBron James and Anthony Davis were listed as questionable every single game. You knew they'd be listed as questionable, but then when you check the lineup, they'd always be playing, and this might be the same situation we're dealing with now this year. So just keep that in mind. He's expected to be going here. The LA Lakers taking on the San Antonio Spurs. This game comes in right now with a 220.5 over-under. 4.5 point spread in favor of the Los Angeles Lakers. So, once again, not exactly the fastest-paced game. But I got to be honest, guys, as we're going through these games, and I'm saying it's not the fastest-paced game, we don't really have a fast-paced game on this game outside of the last one we'll get to. I mean, that's going to be my favorite one by far, I'd say. But we'll get there when we get there. But just keep that in mind. It's pretty evenly dispersed. It's not as if there was like a really, really high total game. So, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Russell Westbrook. These three guys, all when they're healthy, I think are going to cut into each other's usage rates. They're going to cut into each other's fantasy production. And to be honest with you, I really don't have that much interest in any of them until one of them gets hurt. And they're all priced up 9K or higher. I mean, Russell Westbrook's a guy that can get you a triple-double anytime he takes the floor. So, I mean, for that reason, you get the triple-double bonus over on DraftKings. He's 9K. He's the point guard. I could see that. So that makes sense. I could see all three of them. Don't get me wrong. It's just enough time to be playing maybe more than one of them. You can play two of them max. Just keep that in mind. You can't be playing like all three of these guys. It makes no sense. They're on the same team. Not all three of them are going to have a big enough game to give you the tournament-winning upset that you need. On the San Antonio side, it's going to be DeJounte Murray at the point guard position. He's going to get the most minutes in this rotation. He gets the on-ball handling duties. He still hasn't had the biggest game in the world. He doesn't get the greatest matchup here taking on the LA Lakers either. They're a really good defense, but from a usage aspect, really going to like him. And it's pretty predictable from a usage aspect which one of these guys are going to. Doug McDermott and Lonnie Walker both got big minutes last game. I think they could be intriguing options here at only 4.5 and 4.2. I mean, both receiving enough minutes to where at their fantasy point production, they can definitely crush at those price tags. So they're interesting. And then Derek White, Jakob Poeltl, the obvious options that are continuing to see a lot of minutes in this rotation and can get you there at their respective price tags. So I like both those guys as well on the San Antonio Spurs side. I think I have a lot more interest on the Spurs side than the Lakers side in this one, for sure. Just taking a quick peek here to make sure I'm not missing anything, and I'd say that's pretty accurate. Dwight Howard off the bench at only 3.2 for the LA Lakers side could definitely be an intriguing option, just because that's just really, really cheap. Looking at his production so far in the season, though, you can see it's been like 13, 9, 18 minutes, a little bit inconsistent, but I mean, let's be honest, at 3.2, if this guy gets you 20 minutes, he can crush that price tag. So I think Dwight Howard's an interesting option at 3.2 as well. Denver taking on Utah. Last game on the slate and my favorite game on the slate. We have plenty of talent here. A game where it's expected to stay close. So that means guys like Nikola Vucevic can be having bigger games. It's a 7.5 point spread in favor of the Utah Jazz. I will mention that much. It was actually kind of a high spread for this matchup, but I just have a hard time seeing this game getting out of hand. I think that this game will stay close. It's in Utah, which is less than ideal, but I think the really high usage, high upside guys got some big games here. So, you know, it's Nikola Jokic on the Denver Nuggets side, of course, at 10-6. If this game's going to stay close, I think he's going to have a big part of it, and for that reason, I think I'm going to have a lot of interest in him. It's not exactly the greatest match taking on Utah and Rudy Gobert, but to be honest with you, with a mobile center like Nikola Jokic, who's not exactly limited to just the post. He can get out and shoot the three. He can move around. He can shoot the mid-range shot. He can pass the ball. A matchup like Rudy Gobert could actually be great for him. And he's been rebounding like a beast. 13, 16, and 19 rebounds so far in the season. I like Nikola Jokic a lot. And then on the other side, Donovan Mitchell. He's the main star on their side. So I think he could have a big game. He's yet to have a really big game yet on the season with only 32 and 43 DraftKings points. That's not going to get the job done at his price tag. And if there's a game I think he can get it done, it's this one. Not the fastest-paced game in the world, but the fact that it's expected to stay close. Jamal Murray continues to be out, so that's going to be more usage to go around for Michael Porter Jr. specifically at 6'2", but also Will Barton here at his 5'7" price tag. So both those guys are going to be interesting options. And then on the Utah side, more to elaborate more on guys I'd like to play. Mike Conley, Jordan Clarkson, both coming at friendly price tags. And honestly, the Mike Conley, Jordan Clarkson, Bojan Bogdanovic range here, all going to be great plays in my opinion. They get a bunch of minutes. They're all in the mid 5K range. They can all absolutely smash that price tag. So, I mean, those guys all making a lot of sense to me in this game. And then also, I think that Campazzo at only 3.6 is an intriguing play here as well. So he's the only guy that I want to bring up on the Denver side. I think that's just too cheap for his role with this squad right now. So far, he's been seeing like around 20 minutes. Now, don't get me wrong, that's not exactly the highest, craziest minute total in the world, but I think that it's 3.6. You could probably have a big game at some point and get you there at his price tag. So I want to mention him. Over on FanDuel, so we talked about the DraftKings slate. Obviously a lot of this stuff's going to correlate, but there are different pricing discrepancies, so I always like to pull up FanDuel, make sure that we're not missing any of those. Andre Drummond, if Embiid missed, we talked about him. Draymond Green at 6'4", I think is an intriguing option here on FanDuel because you get points for the blocks and steals, and Draymond Green always good for a lot of blocks and steals, and his the way he plays his game. He's only had 1 steal in 2 of the 3 games so far. I don't think that's going to stay true because that's not the way Draymond Green plays. So I think that his price tag over here on FanDuel, he's definitely an intriguing option. Jordan Clarkson, we talked about that Utah condensed price range over on DraftKings. He's only 5-1 over here on FanDuel. I think that he could really have a big game for you at that respective price tag and pay off for you in tournaments on FanDuel. So he's an intriguing tournament option. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander at 7-1. We talked about how he's going to need to keep this game close if they're going to have any chance. He's also another guy that's a scrappy defensive player, so he's going to get a lot of blocks and steals for you on FanDuel where you get 3 points for the blocks and steals. I like him a lot. And then, yeah, I think that's a pretty good job of covering our bases here of the guys we talked about on both sites. Those are guys that are just really standing out to me from the price tag aspect on FanDuel, maybe more so in comparison to DraftKings. So wanted to bring that to your attention. Before I let you guys go, that's my overall breakdown. Got to give you my lock of the night. And my lock of the night tonight is going to be Michael Porter Jr. taking on this Utah squad. Denver, Utah expected to stay close in a game where teams are often involved in blowouts. I'm going to like this one. And if the game is going to stay close, I think Michael Porter Jr. is going to be a big part of that on the Denver side. The underdog, 7.5 point spread here. A guy that produces at a great rate here with 1.09 DK points per minute. As far as FanDuel is concerned, he's at 1.05 FanDuel points per minute. And at a very friendly price tag here. I think the upside far outweighs the price tag. I think he's going to get plenty of minutes. And like I said, I think he's going to be a big part of this Denver squad, keeping this game close. Love this spot for Michael Porter Jr. Get him in your lineups because he is my lock of the night. So there you have it, guys. Michael Porter Jr. Get him in your lineups. And that is all from me in this one. If you did enjoy the content at any point in this video, if you could please take a moment to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. That would be greatly appreciated. Wish you guys all the best of luck tonight. And we will see you in the next one.